Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well. Sorry about my mess there. Yeah. Just had breakfast there a while ago. I'm in the high altitudes of Taylor Ranch, New Mexico, 5,000 feet. Air's a little thinner here. Sometimes it takes a while to acclimate to the altitude. At least in my many years of coming and going here, it's always like less oxygen. So, but you get used to it. Water boils at at sea level. Water boils at 212. At this altitude, water boils. Where the correct way to look at it is evaporate. It's the same thing. Boiling and evaporation are the synonymous. And when you have less head pressure, 33 to 3rd pounds per square inch, water will boil. It'll get hot. But I think it's about a little less than 200 degrees on the stove. Oh, incidentally, we use a nice thing about New Mexico is we have a lot of natural gas here, and it sure beats electric heat. A lot of natural gas here. It's really phenomenal. Albuquerque's growing. It is expanding. Great food. The one thing I like here is the Hispanic food. And they make real taco salads, with the bowl, big bowl, kind of fluted around the edges, avocados, chicken, pollo, or beef, a lot of salsa, cream cheese. Oh, you're in heaven. Oh, bueno, muy bueno. So anyways, sorry, it's kind of warm today. As mentioned, I own a helicopter. It's a RotorWay 162F exec, and I keep it in a hangar out at Bode, B-O-D-E, Bode Field, which is a subsidiary of Sunport 2. Pretty cool, and I have a hangar. Took a while. Well, someone made an association, and he really helped me out getting this hangar. Sliding door, a lot of room, and I set up tables and got a nice work light. And I'm reassembling the engine. So I'm always looking for RotorWay engines. I seem to find a lot up in Canada. A couple of guys on barnstormers. So I've been at this about 3 years now. I waited 50 years to even remotely own a helicopter. I work as a software engineer, programming PLCs, programmable logic controllers, variable frequency drives, HMI touchscreens. HMI touchscreens are really something. The HMI talks to the PLC. You write the PLC program, then you program the HMI. Instead of a physical button or switch, you just use the HMI, put a push button to do whatever you want to do. Turn on a pump, a motor, conveyor. And if you'd like to have a bottling line, you can bring your PNP or NPN sensors. I prefer PNP, positive, negative, positive, transistor speaking, switching. Then you write your PLC program to match your production variables. Really, at the end of the day, I call it product in, product out. Not too difficult. I'd like to see more training of it in the schools. Because it's kind of definitely an automation world. So essentially, you can use a PC or a laptop as your basic fundamental programming. I prefer Ethernet IP. I give my sensors IP addresses, like a photo eye. I forgot to mention SCADA, supervisory control and data acquisition. And that you can project out onto a great big monitor on the plant floor. And the beauty of that is your employees can visually see how their production is going through the day. And I've been in a bottling plant in Mukilteo, Washington, called Orca Beverage, ORCA Beverage. Dad's root beer. 23 years there, was pretty good. Really cut my teeth there. Long hours, cold nights, sitting there alone in the plant till midnight. Got into robotics and things to help with packaging and moving a product. 23 years. It was a real dedication. You just, my brother used to say, just show up. Just show up. And then cut your teeth. Be the best that you can be. Study, read the books, go to seminars. Lots of free downloads. To cut your teeth, to practice PLC programming. Get that under your belt. Programmable logic controllers. I'm going to plug in. I don't know if I can do this or not. I don't want to get clipped, but there's a company called Automation Direct. And I tell you, for the beginner, their PLCs they've done well through the years, growing their line, the various styles of PLCs. But I use the 06 DRD PLC because it has real relays in it that can handle some real beef. When you have a real relay clapping down, they're tough. They switch rapidly. So when you're developing a PLC program, think about what you want it to do. I set up some programs for capping. Let's see, as I garner my memories here. Functions on the conveyor belt, photo eyes, lots of photo eyes. Photo eyes or photo sensors, PNP predominantly. I try to keep it a generic structure through the plant. So anything and everything that you put in the plant, try to maintain one type of sensor so it's not convoluted between PNP or NPN, because that's your wiring. You got about 4 wires. 2 are 24-volt DC, and then there's a brown wire and a white wire. So the brown wire is the signal coming back to the PLC. So a sensor sees a bottle, and it'll send a signal to the PLC. And we're down in milliseconds, pretty fast. You don't need a SCADA, supervisor control and data acquisition. I call it the icing on the cake, where you can actually get graphical visualization of your line. That's really important to the manager at the operations station running the bottling line. So what I do is I set up a touch screen, and it's elevated above the operator. So he just go up and hit a button, point, start the system. It'll give him a bottle count and a case count. That's really important to know how many bottles he's produced in a day's run. And with a little more math, you can hone it down to a case count, 12 bottles or 24 bottles in a case. And at the end of the day, he knows exactly how many cases he's produced that day. And one more thing, set your photo wire, whatever sensor you use, there's all kinds of sensors. Set it way downstream at the end of pretty close to the end of the line, so it's very accurate. Because sometimes they'll pull a bottle off the line before it gets to the photo eye. So you want to congeal that for accuracy. So you put your photo eye way down, pretty much near the end of the stream of your conveyor. You might be a bottle operator. It's not the end of the world. You got a lot of crew members managing the whole structure through the plant as the product moves from filler all the way down to the drop caser. Actually picks up all the bottles and drops them into the box, the case. So that's what I do. But my new hobby is, I'm not in the plant. That's in Mukilteo, Washington. I'm back in New Mexico, kind of chasing my dream now, my little helicopter. So that's why I'm here today. Anyone wants to shoot the breeze, talk helicopter, I'm learning. It's kind of a 50-year aspiration to own a helicopter. I've trained on a 22 Seattle. That was pretty fun. Shoot the rivers. I've also worked on tugboats up in Alaska as a chief engineer, pulling barges for Crowley Maritime, pretty big tugboat company. I worked on a river tug. These are shallow draft tugboats that are meant to go up rivers. And we have air-cooled generators. So in other words, when you push a barge against the beach and you get your ramps down, get the forklift going, and the first thing you need to do is unload containers. They're 24-foot containers, and they're full of product that you're bringing to the Inupiat Eskimos. And there's no roads going to a lot of these Inupiat Eskimo villages, so we're kind of the supply line, bringing them diesel fuel for ABEC, Alaska Village Electric Cooperative. As mentioned, there's no roads, so we are their support system every year. And just about October 15th, 14th, 15th, the Bering Sea is starting to freeze. It's freezing up, rock solid. And it comes in quick and fast. And by then, your port engineers are with you, and you're getting ready to winterize your tugboat. So these tugboats, you can pick them up with a crane, and there's always a big crane on the dock. So we pick them up, we put them up on the beach. We pull all the batteries out, and then we winterize the cooling system. We put a fairly high volume of antifreeze, because you don't want to crack. These are Detroit diesel 671s, standard issue, easy to work on. 64 HN9 Detroit diesels, fine engine, absolutely bulletproof. On occasion, we could blow a damper on the front of the engine and get by on one engine, which can be a little tough getting back into port, and you have to be on your game. And Crowley teaches you how to throw a dock line. There's a real art to throwing a dock line, and they teach you, in case of emergency, that you only get one shot coming into a dock, and you have to be able to throw that. It's not necessarily a hawser, somewhat of a nylon. It's light. It's a way to wrap it. It's already spliced. It's got an eye in it. But you coil 1, 2, 3 in your left hand, and it's called the Crowley throw. And you can't fail. You have to hit the bit coming into the dock. You only get one shot, where you're going to crash your tug into the beach or the header. And I can tell you some pretty cool experiences. Oh my God, I wish I could go back. Where you hit the bit, get that thing wrapped up in a cleat, stop the tugboat, stop the barge. You're tired. Some days you work 4 and 5 days without sleep, but you're making the money. You're making the quan. Per diem, overtime. When you're driving, when I got on the beach, I drove a modified forklift. It cantilever in the middle. Was a way to get your lamps down on the beach. Pick up your containers and then back down. And sometimes you just slide down because the lamps are down in the water. You would slide. You kind of actually get used to this. Got to be on your game. You got a 24-foot container in the front of you, and you're sliding down backwards. And you can put the brakes on, but you're just still going to slide. You have to be careful, but you can do it. And you hit the beach, you back up, take the container up, and you have a generally on the beach, you'll have an Inupiat Eskimo tell you where to put that container. And once you get your containers off, you can get the barge a little higher and higher up on the beachhead. And then this is where the fun begins. Then you start getting a fuel hose off the barge. You have a tankerman, and on the barge there's like a little shed. And he can do his paperwork in there and things like that. But now you're going to start pumping diesel fuel to these 10,000-gallon tanks. And my job was to go climb to the top of the tanks. And I had a radio and a sounding tape. And there's generally about 6 tanks. And you're going to put about 10,000 gallons of diesel fuel in there. And this is what supplies the generators that gives electricity to the village. Pretty cool. Well thought out of. And it was my job to climb on top of the tanks. And when I was younger, I got a little bit brazen. So I'd fill up one tank. You have to remember that the tankerman is down on the barge, and he's pumping the fuel through a hose connected to a header on the beach. And then the chief mate would sit there at the header with a radio, and then I would go up on top of the tank, and I would watch the tank fill, and I had a sounding tape. And I would stand by with the radio, and I got in the habit of being very clear. And I came up with a system that when the tank was getting full, I would say, stand by for shutdown. And you get a response. You don't want to overfill the tank. You don't want to blow the top up because it's coming fast and furious. So I say on the radio, stand by for shutdown, stand by for shutdown. And the tankerman pushing fuel say standing by. You get a confirmation back, and then they say shut down. Well and good. So instead of me climbing down from the top of this tank, which is about 20 feet up, I just get back on the top of that tank and I just start running. And I would leap from one tank to the next tank rather than just climb down and go over and climb back up again. Too much minutia. So I would just get back there and just go, man, go. And I would leap from one tank to the other, start the process again, filling this tank. 5 or 6 tanks, I think. Get them all filled up. Shut her down. Stop all fuel transfers. And then the last thing you did, you had to clear all the fuel lines out. You couldn't just break connection. So what they did do is it's called a pig. And this is the most exciting part of this. The tankerman would, at the header, put in what is called a pig. It's this round, it's kind of pointed, and he'd load the pig in there, seal it up, and he'd pressurize it with compressed air. And the pig would push all the way through all that hose and it'd push all that remaining fuel out of all the hoses. And I can remember you'd always have one Inupiat Eskimo working with you, and they're always kind of wide-eyed. And when that pig came shooting through there, you didn't want to have a fuel spill, and you had to be prepared for it. And then the pig would show up, and you're able to open up. I kind of forget how that worked, but you had to get the pig out and then take it back to the tugboat. So that's the way to clear the line. Of diesel fuel or diesel oil. The diesel fuel, the higher BTU content, is predominantly to run the generators, Caterpillar generators. We don't fool with that. That's not our part to maintain generator. We're just delivery of anything from sleds. They build their sleds. You can bring them a lot of four-wheelers. The Inupiats use a lot of four-wheelers to they have their klooches and their kids, and they're all loaded on the back of these little four-wheelers. Kind of cute. We had a machine shop there inside a kind of a nice heated building on the dock. You kind of have like Nome. You've heard of Nome. That was one of my ports, Nome, Alaska. And I tell you, it's a party town. And these are tough people. And in the summer, it's about 24 hours of sunlight. They get used to it. And these guys be out on their jet skis at 3 a.m. and the sun is up. It's hot. Lots of mosquitoes. Oh my gosh, mosquitoes. We used to use what we call Avon Skin So Soft. Avon Skin So Soft to ward off mosquitoes. And I mean, just mosquitoes are just blistering everywhere. And if you didn't ward off. Oh my gosh, it's just torrents of mosquitoes buzzing all around you. And I think it's because of the tundra maintains a lot of puddles of water, and the mosquitoes breed in there. Somebody showed me this trick for using Avon skin so soft, and I think you sprayed it on yourself or something. You mosquitoes didn't like it. What else? Another cool thing was there were some folks up there from Seattle that had a gold mining operation, and we would come there, I think once or twice during the season, and we'd bring them diesel fuel to run their equipment. And these were pretty rugged people, and boy, could they turn up the gold. Ooh. And near the end of the season, they come back to the hangar. Well, it's not necessarily a hangar. It's just a big steel structure building, had heat, lighting, and whatnot. It's near the end of the season, and they bring in their gold. And I tell you, they'd hold up this gold pan. It was just full of gold. And that was back in the day when gold was, I don't know, what, 1,000 an ounce? And now I see it's almost $5,000 an ounce for gold. And I tell you, if I had my age again, young guy, I think I'd go back over just a pan of gold. I got the gold fever. And I remember this meeting. Oh, you can go down to the other end of Nome. Just the other end of Nome. I think it's the south end. And it's between what they call the town of Startup. I think Startup. You go down to the beach and pan gold. Now you might not get a lot. You can come up with a couple of little nuggets, a little bit of this and that. And there's one gentleman there. His name was Blueberry Johns. Blueberry Johns, and I met him. Old-timey gold miner kind of guy, tough. Got to be on your game. These guys sometimes head off in the mountains and had their equipment with them, and I'm not quite sure how to get out of there. They, I think they had a 4-wheeler or something, and they just head off into the mountains. And there's some commercial gold mining up there. You can see them up on the ridge. I think they're dredging, and then inside this moving conveyance, there's panners inside this thing, and they're hired to pan the gold as it came in to this portable structure. You can see this thing moving. I don't want to call it mesa, the top of the ridge. They kind of be moving along looking for, and they had to have water. They had to be in an area. It's really rather elevated, as I recall, and they'd be moving along, dredging. They were dredging, and then the gold would come into maybe an enclosed clean room or out of the elements, and they'd be sitting there panning, maybe 10 people panning, maybe more. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to it, but they were panning inside the building, inside this structure, a moving structure. As mentioned, they had to have the water to continually pan. You have to have your water. And the beauty of gold, it's a little heavier. So the gold sinks to the bottom of your pan. That's a nice one. So you're just working it, get up the dirt and all the other things that come along with getting down to the gold, separating it out, get down to the gold, and then try to slough it off to the whatever they contain the gold in there. So as mentioned, if I had my youth again, I go back up there and do it again. The tugboat life, the gold, the environment. And Nome, sometimes they throw rock concerts and musicians and come out, and these guys are pretty good. They're tough, talented, hardened Nome men and women. And when they partied, they partied. It was clean partying. No drugs, no, just gritty, tough Alaskans. Fine people. And as I recall, we would go out to the Pribilofs. That was something. You go out to the Pribilofs, and you could see Russia. You could see it. The Pribilofs are really something. That's as soon as you hit the beach, there, it's just almost mountainous. And you get your forklift off, and you're kind of navigating up the side of this hill, and you're doing what you do, getting them fuel or supplies or whatever, because you are their lifeline. Crowley Maritime. Now I think Foss went up there, but I don't know. I didn't see a lot of Foss. One of the nicest adventures that I remember up in Alaska was going up the Selawik River. The Selawik River to another village. And that was one hell of a visit. Freshwater, very shallow, but our tugs were very shallow draft tugs. And I'll always remember this one Eskimo up there. I'd see him every year. And you know what he would say to me? He would say, "Charlie, we see them." And I would say to him, "Who do you see?" And he would say, "We see those people." And I say, "What people do you see?" You're tired, you're exhausted, you're ready to roll on the floor. And he would go, "We see those people." And I would say, "What people do you see?" And he would say, this is the kicker, he would go, "We see those people from America's Most Wanted. We see them in the woods." And you're so tired, you're rolling on the floor. The Inupiats have a sense of humor that can kick your butt. I just roll on deck laughing. We see those people from America's Most Wanted in their Inupiat guttural expose. We see those people from America's Most Wanted. So, pretty good memories. Wish I could do it again. So, I don't see anybody in the chat, so that's okay. I just had lunch over there in I have to use a walker. My back is so screwed up from tugboats. Really tore it up. Absolutely destroyed my back. Tugboats are hard work. Yeah, just absolutely. But I would do it again. So all you young people, it's a big world out there. You got to go for it. Just keep pushing that envelope. Don't give up. Get your Coast Guard license. Get your chief engineer's endorsement. I also went to work for Mobil Oil Corporation on super tanker. That was an experience, and that was after the spill. Oh my gosh, that was some kind of hard to live down, but working on a 1,000-foot super tanker, pushing crude oil, going to all the ports, Bendovi, pumping crude to the refineries, California, Los Angeles. Boy, that was a hell of a port, Los Angeles. Pushing crude. I could tell you some amazing stories. I could tell you about a blowout on the deck where the gasket blew out on the header. Yeah, crude oil all over the deck. What a mess. Crude oil everywhere. It happens. But you put in stoppers, you're on the bulkhead of your ship. In case that element happens, it happens. Probably happens more than you know. It's called shit happens. Somebody starts to pump too soon. Maybe poor communication to the receiving station. They didn't open the valve. And so when that steam-driven pump hits that crude oil and something's not open on the other end, something's going to give. You're talking about 600 psi of push. And you've got some fairly big steam-driven pumps pushing that crude oil to the receiving end up on the beach, the header. So I've seen it. But everybody turns to, they clean it up, they're aware of it. But I guess that's the nature of fuel. I haven't driven in years, so I don't even know what the cost of gas is. In New Mexico, prices are pretty good for gasoline here. I don't drive anymore, so maybe you can tell me. So I think I'll hang out here for a little bit, see if anybody wants to shoot the breeze. I'm going to drink some, what is this? Sprite. New Mexico, great place. Good food. Taco salads. Yeah. Hard. Where's my little dog? Skippy. Come here, Skip. Skippy. Come on, honey. Why don't you tell me where you're at? Tell me about your day. What's going on? Where are you at? California just had a wildfire, I think, something. I haven't seen any news on that. Containment. Beautiful homes. People evacuating their homes. Wow. A lot of courage. Oh, boy. $1 million homes that get their goods together. The kids get in the car and leave. Lock the doors. And I'm sure the police are monitoring neighborhoods. Security. So, getting back to my main enjoyment now at my age is playing with my helicopter. As mentioned, it's a RotorWay 162F exec. So it's just a little hobby now that I have. Waited 50 years to do this, and slowly coming together. So we travel out there to the hangar, my hangar, and weather's been a little rough here. We got out there last week and just cold, windy. Whew. We could only stay in that hangar about an hour. But let's see, it's 66 degrees right now here in Taylor Ranch, New Mexico. So things are warming up. We'll get back out to the hangar and continue on with the installation of the engine and keep it going. So I'm going to sign off here, and thanks for visiting. And I'll see you on the next bend of the road. How do they do that? Where's the camera? There it is. God bless and be safe out there. I'm trying to hit the end stream. My little goofy fingers here.